This is Gary Atensi with CNTV, and today we're in Falcon, Colorado. I am here at Barnhart Pump Company. Since 1983, they have been providing full-service water well pump installation and repair for folks all across the Pikes Peak region. I'm here with the general manager as well as owner, Mark, Brad. Thanks for joining us, guys. Let's start off pretty much a little bit about yourselves, first of all. Brad, let's begin with you. This is a company that began back in the 80s. We're talking about 3 decades ago, Colorado-based, family business, and basically with the original mission of creating quality service for folks. It's still a great business model. How did you get involved in this industry?
Well, I'm married to Steve's daughter, so kind of married into it. Did construction all my life, and then Steve was wanting to kind of grow the business and kind of step out a little bit, and I got involved and fell in love with it, and here I am 17 years later and part owner now. Wow. And yeah, we still run it together. He's still involved, but yeah. Excellent,
great story. So basically, by blood, you got involved in this type of business. Let me ask you, as a general manager, how is it you got involved here, and to what capacity?
My career actually started when I was 8 years old, going to work for my best friend's dad on a drill rig, or whatever you do when you're 8 years old, and grew up in the business. Worked summer times through school, and it just have developed into this. I had my own business. Steve bought it out, the owner of this company, and then I went to work for him, and that was about 16 years ago, and have been enjoying it ever since.
Excellent. I mean, quite honestly, the existence of water wells, we can trace those all the way back to 5090 BC in Austria. I mean, when you think about technology today, everything's changed so much, yet we're pretty much still tapping the water underneath the surface there like they're doing it thousands of years ago, yet the means of doing it has changed quite a bit, I would imagine.
It has a lot more concentration on being sanitary and securing things. Wells of old were not constructed the way they are today. They were subject to contamination and things of that nature, which we're very guarded against today.
Interesting. Back in the day, it was more labor intensive. We're talking about wells that were actually drawn by hand. What is the common means today? Obviously, we're not doing it by hand. What's the common means?
Primarily would be an electric submersible pump, AC powered pump. That's on a residential or commercial scale, but we do work on a lot of old time windmills out east that are providing water for cattle. Just using wind power. We're actually out putting in a solar powered pump system today.
Let me ask you, for a first-time well owner out there, share with us, what are some of the advantages of really owning your own water system, if you will?
Well, the cost per gallon, one, is very, very cost competitive to a municipality. You don't have all the chlorine, fluoride, all the chemicals in the water. And then it's based on locale. You can have some places where there's minerals and stuff in the water, but like right here where you're sitting, the water is excellent, and no other additives to the water. You have an abundance of it here as well.
That is amazing. Obviously, a well-maintained well is important. I mean, to keep it going right. Obviously, that's where professional comes in. As far as bacteria testing, water treatment, are these all areas that you can direct the customer into?
Without a doubt. We do bacteriological testing, drawing samples, and then we submit those to the health department on any kind of real estate transaction or any time there is cause for concern. We do chlorination and disinfection and a lot of well rehabilitation in numerous forms.
A reliable pump obviously is the key component for this system to keep going well. Share with us, when it comes to general household, the difference in pump, that of maybe a jet pump versus a submersive. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, a jet pump is typically used in more of a shallow well application. There's some wells down south of us near Fountain that are pretty shallow. You'll see jet pumps, or if the well would pump into a cistern, a water storage tank, you'd use that jet pump to draw out of that to feed the home. Most generally, like this place we're at here, most homes, the wells are deep enough that a submersible pump is used. There are different types of jet pumps that could be used in deeper wells, but as submersibles came into the market and the industry and got developed there, that's just way cheaper, way more efficient, no more maintenance, those types of things. That's just all we really run into anymore.
The installation of pressure tanks, pressure switches, we're talking about booster pumps. Are all these type of services needed for all applications, or it kind of depends on what you're really looking for?
It does. We as a company design our systems to meet the customer's specific needs. Each and every job is hand tailored to what that client needs or wants. And so, yes, there are certain aspects that are applicable for a certain client that you could go right next door and they would have a totally different system. So that's what we pride ourselves in, is that attention to detail and meeting those needs, and even showing the person or expressing to the person what those needs might be, saying, have you thought about this, and then tailoring our systems to meet those.
You're talking about a very customized approach, hands-on. You're listening to the client, and not only that, but given years and years of experience, helping them decide what it is they want as well. One of the things, I'm amazed that we're able to tap into the water supply, which is great. We're also tapping in, like you mentioned earlier, we're tapping into the solar anymore to actually power some of this. Tell me about the solar pumps. Is that something kind of new technology?
I wouldn't say it's new technology. It's been out for quite a while. I think it has gotten to the point where it's more cost effective to install that. Windmills are becoming harder and harder to find parts for, harder to repair. There's a lot of maintenance required with windmills, so we're seeing the need for solar become greater. And really, for the end user, it's in their best interest just on a maintenance standpoint. You can put in a solar pump system and maybe not go see it for 8 or 10 years, and it's out there pumping water for cattle, where a windmill you may be at least once a year, maybe several times a year, servicing it, changing the oil and the motor up on top. And they're kind of dangerous to work on. You're getting really high off the ground, and we got to have specialized equipment for safety reasons, and all of that equalizes more money ultimately to the customer.
They say basically an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of regret. Tell me about sump pumps. Are these something that people make sure that they have in place so they don't have a problem down the line?
They are, and in the last 2 years in the springtime, with all the precipitation we've been getting that's come in droves, we move a lot of sump pumps. It's been amazing. So yeah, for preparedness and prevention from basements flooding and things of that nature, absolutely critical. And testing of them to make sure they're operational before the precipitation hits, good idea.
Good idea. Brad, you mentioned earlier the word efficient. One of the state-of-the-art technological advances that has come around in diagnosing and less labor-intensive, yet does a greater job, is that of basically video inspection service. Tell me about that service you offer.
Yeah, we do have a downhole camera mounted in a van, so a mobile camera that we can come out. You have to remove the well pump from the well and run this camera down in there. Typically, when there's a severe issue like a contamination issue, say that you can't get rid of a bacteria in a well, or there's maybe the thought that there is a crack in a well casing, getting dirty water or something, that's when we would employ that tool. It's not necessarily cost effective to just come out and camera somebody well, but if you really have an issue that you can't resolve by normal means, it's a great tool. We've used it a lot, showing up on jobs where a pump has dropped in the well due to an old corroded pipe, and we got to go down and fish it out. We got to create tools and work hundreds of feet underground to try to get a hold of a pipe or a pump and get it back out, we've utilized that camera for that, and it's been great for that.
That is amazing. It's something that this eye in the ground, if you will, can go down 1,000 feet, look at cracks, deformities, like you said, even picked up bacteria as well as maybe mineral deposits. I mean, it's probably pretty capable in taking a look at that. Like you said, no longer the day you have to get down there and look for it. You right away know what you're dealing with.
Yeah, days of old prior to video cameras, there's a lot of guesswork, a lot of trial and error, and yeah, it is streamlined a lot of that. And we've got to take a look at a lot of the geology around here as well, in wells that don't have casing in them, and it gives us insight as to where water-bearing formations are and things of this nature. If we have to go in and have a company come in and frack wells that hydrofrack them with water to increase production, we can identify those zones and bring in a company and know exactly what we're doing. We didn't have that advantage years ago.
Interesting. What about a person out there who maybe is purchasing a piece of land and they're not sure that the water's going to flow there? A pretty good idea to probably have you guys come in, do a test beforehand, find out what you're dealing with.
Without a doubt, that is the most important thing you can do if you're buying a piece of real estate, is to have, I mean, if you don't have water, your land is worthless. I mean, you can't flush toilets, you can't brush teeth, you know, it's just dirt. So we do offer that service, or those services. Typically, the process is we come in and do an inspection, make sure the system is sound and that there's enough structural integrity to the system to do a production test on the well. So we'll do a 3-page analysis and document the condition of the well and the pump system for sanitary, for everything that is identifiable from the top of the ground. And then again, if it's robust enough to do this production test, we'll do that, and we pump these wells and identify how much either the production rate of the pump system and or the well. I mean, if your well runs out of water in 30 minutes, you'd like to know that before you buy that property. And then also, again, on the tail end of that, we offer bacteriological testing. That's a requirement in real estate transactions as well. So we draw samples and get them to the health department to make sure it's safe to drink.
Nothing like peace of mind while you're signing that contract, knowing that what you're going into is going to work for you. Obviously, a well that is properly designed and built, one that is maintained, obviously by professionals as yourself, really can provide you years of clean drinking water. Obviously very important, done right on the first end, as well as maintained throughout.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's the one place in construction or building that you really don't want to cut any corners. Very difficult to recoup that when you do cut corners. If it's not done right, you have to start over, so you pay double if it's not done right the first time. So that is absolutely critical.
So much for saving money when you try to cut that corner. I mean, let me ask you this. You pretty much cover any type of job out there, anything from a 30-gallon interior tank all the way up to a 30,000 that's buried. Everything in between. You guys have basically 100 years of combined experience here. Pretty amazing team you guys have put together.
Absolutely. We work on everything from the single-wide trailer all the way up to the Broadmoor is one of our clients, and everybody in between. And we do take pride in helping the individual specifically tailor our work to meet their needs, their budgets, whatever the case may be, without compromising quality.
Excellent. Viewers, take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is their website. First of all, on the website, take a look at the different services they provide out there. Website pretty much is chock full of information. You can take a look at FAQ. They have questions, answers for new well owners out there. They've got some tips out there. Also some great resources, links that you can go to there as well. Remember, this is a company that basically began back pretty much over 3 decades ago. They built their reputation one customer at a time, and now providing you some of the best, basically well service in the area. Let me ask you this, Brad. I notice up when I drive up into the deep Falcon here, I see windmills here and there. And is that kind of a lost art, basically, of people who are able to service these things? And this is something you guys still can do.
Yeah, it really is. There's not many well companies out there anyways, and the ones that will work on windmills and know how they work and be able to service them or rebuild them. We do some of that. It really is. It's a lost art in it. From a working standpoint, we like to see the solar come into it, just on a safety and efficiency standpoint. But there is something that's pretty cool about the old windmills. I mean, we put one up last year that was from the 1800s and made out of wood, and that was pretty neat to work with technology from well over 100 years ago and put it into production to getting water out of the ground. That's fun.
I mean, obviously, water is no longer a luxury for us. It's a necessity. And obviously, even more important that we turn to a professional to maintain those systems for us, making sure we're not having an amateur come in and work on something that, A, is so vital to our life, and B, will end up costing us more money down the road if it's not done properly. That probably is something that is worth educating folks for all the time.
Without a doubt, and we do a lot of that through this office, a lot of it over the phone. We give out a lot of guidance and direction before we dispatch a crew out there. A lot of times we can solve people's problems just through a phone call, and we're happy to do that because we're trying to build clients for the long term. Since we don't see them for every 15, 20 years, we have to do our best every day with each and every phone call.
Absolutely. Obviously, you guys you're more than just trying to build these clientele. You've been here for over 30 years, so you're obviously doing that. This is a company that was built basically neighbor by neighbor, word of mouth, and it's a company that understood a Colorado-based, family-based, serving you. That is the Barnhart Pump Company since 1983. This is Gary Atensi with CNTV. And if you don't know, now you know.